Dinar shift, unlocking the vault on foreign currency exchange. The quest for clarity surrounding the Iraqi Dinar, IQD, and Vietnamese Dong, VND, within the United States has reached a critical point for many holders. After years of anticipation, watching market fluctuations, and sifting through countless updates, the singular question remains: where can these currencies be safely and legitimately exchanged within the American financial system? This issue is deeply personal for individuals who have held these notes, acting not just as collectors but as disciplined observers of global economic shifts. Today, we break down the complex reality of foreign exchange in the U.S., pinpointing which major institutions currently handle these exotic currencies, what specialized knowledge you need to avoid pitfalls, and how to position yourself for success when institutional policies inevitably shift. This is not about speculation. It's a journey into awareness, strategic preparation, and understanding the regulated mechanics of the financial world in 2025. Imagine waking up to a verifiable news alert. Major U.S. banks announce new policies for IQD and VND conversion. For a moment, the years of reading forums, hearing rumors, and holding on to your physical notes coalesce into a singular, undeniable possibility. You open your storage, look at the vibrant designs of the Iraqi Dinar or Vietnamese Dong, and realize the what-if scenario might be migrating into the what is reality. The long-held vision is to walk into a trusted financial institution, present your securely stored currency, and witness a conversion that marks a profound financial change. This is the quiet aspiration shared by thousands of dedicated currency holders across the nation as we look toward 2025. However, the line between a hopeful vision and actionable success is drawn by preparation and knowledge. Hope provides motivation, but it is never a substitute for a concrete strategy. The individuals who successfully capitalize on rare financial opportunities are those who remain informed, patient, and strategically poised. The financial world operates on regulation, liquidity, and timing. When a significant window opens, and these shifts can occur rapidly and with little public warning, it is only those who have done the rigorous preparatory work who will confidently move forward. Others, unfortunately, will be left to observe from the sidelines, unprepared for the necessary compliance and documentation. Therefore, it is essential to set aside the hype and anchor our understanding in verifiable, factual information about the currency's current economic standing. As we move through early 2025, it's vital to acknowledge the current baseline reality of these currencies on the global foreign exchange (FX) markets. The Iraqi Dinar, IQD, officially trades at approximately text 1,310 IQD per US dollars, while the Vietnamese Dong, VND, typically averages between Boers text $25,000 to 26,000 VND per US dollar. These figures represent the currency's economic standing, fluctuating daily, and they are deeply intertwined with their respective national economies. Iraq continues the challenging process of rebuilding and diversifying its economy beyond its dependence on oil, while Vietnam has emerged as a powerhouse, rapidly establishing itself as one of Southeast Asia's most dynamic manufacturing and trade hubs. However, for all their national significance in the context of the United States and other Western markets, both the IQD and the VND are designated as exotic currencies. This classification is critical and does not imply the currency is illegitimate, but rather that it has limited convertibility, restricted market liquidity, and a small pool of institutional buyers and sellers. Because of these inherent constraints, the vast majority of American banks are simply not positioned or even authorized to routinely buy or sell these specific notes. This reality is dictated by the layers of stringent federal banking regulations that U.S. institutions must adhere to before processing any large-scale foreign currency transactions. The regulations in question primarily involve anti-money laundering, AML, and Know Your Customer (KYC) laws. Before a major U.S. financial institution can process an exchange, they must have clear verification of the currency's liquidity sources, and often, explicit government authorization or a verifiable central bank agreement. Therefore, while online platforms might be surging with speculation about large-scale policy shifts or imminent revaluations, your true practical advantage lies in understanding the regulated system as it exists today, not based on future hopes. The pathway to exchange is paved by compliance and institutional policy, not by viral conjecture. The actual mechanics of how U.S. banks handle foreign currencies are governed by a structured internal process centered on managing risk, ensuring compliance, and assessing liquidity. Broadly speaking, most major banks in the United States operate under two primary foreign currency frameworks. The first is currency ordering for travel, which involves processing commonly traded, highly liquid currencies like the euro, British pound, or Canadian dollar for customers heading abroad. The second is currency redemption, where banks buy back any unused travel cash, but only if that currency is already on their officially approved list of readily convertible notes. This is where the challenge for holders of IQD and VND becomes most pronounced. These notes are almost universally absent from the standard approved redemption lists of the largest American financial institutions. Consider the policies of major players. Bank of America deals with dozens of global currencies, but explicitly excludes both the IQD and VND from its exchange services. Wells Fargo, despite its extensive network for travel-related currency, maintains a restricted classification for these specific notes. Similarly, Chase Bank concentrates its exchange services on frequently traded currencies, leaving exotic currencies outside of its standard teller-based offerings. Other regional and national institutions, such as U.S. Bank, PNC Regions, or Fifth Third, may provide very limited access. This access, where it exists, is often channeled through specialized corporate foreign exchange desks or via third-party FX providers with specific licenses. Crucially, the availability of these services can vary dramatically based on the region, the individual branch, and the specific manager's knowledge. This landscape, while restrictive, is not entirely static. Financial policies are dynamic documents, subject to evolution based on global market stability, a rise in bilateral trade volume, or the strengthening of central bank convertibility agreements. Persistent, professional, and informed inquiry remains a critical action for currency holders. To bridge the gap between speculation and opportunity, it is essential to adopt verifiable strategic preparation. Whether you hold a small amount of currency or significant bundles, the steps you take today will determine your readiness when official exchange channels widen. The first and most paramount step is to verify the authenticity of your banknotes. Your notes must be crisp, unblemished, and traceable. Store them securely in protective sleeves and document every transaction: the purchase date, the specific denomination, the source of the purchase, and the serial number. Maintaining this transparent record is your primary defense against compliance hurdles, potential counterfeit claims, and regulatory scrutiny later on. Beyond physical documentation, the way you interact with financial institutions is also critical. Avoid relying solely on generic customer service hotlines or standardized call center scripts. Your approach must be targeted. Instead, ask to speak directly with the foreign exchange manager or branch manager. Your tone should be professional and your question precise. Does your foreign currency desk currently accept the Iraqi Dinar or Vietnamese Dong for exchange? If the answer is negative, politely request that they confirm the current policy with their head office FX department. Make sure to log the name, title, date, and outcome of every conversation for future reference. Should major banks decline the transaction, your next step should be to explore authorized, licensed currency exchangers. These are reputable FX providers registered with the U.S. Treasury's FinCEN database, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. These regulated firms are legally authorized to process exotic currency transactions, but only when specific market liquidity and regulatory conditions permit. This network represents a viable, compliant channel outside of the traditional banking system that is well worth researching and establishing contact with. The information you trust must originate from the highest and most reliable authorities. Monitor official channels relentlessly. This includes the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, the State Bank of Vietnam, SBV, and the International Monetary Fund, IMF. These institutions' policy announcements and economic updates shape the actual financial reality, not the rumors circulating in online chat rooms or social media. This practice of relying on primary sources is your best shield against misinformation and ensures your strategy is grounded in fact, not speculation. Perhaps the most crucial cautionary advice is to beware of scams. No legitimate, regulated financial institution or currency dealer will ever promise a guaranteed revaluation rate, a secret tiered access, or a specific conversion timeline before an official, publicly released policy is in place. If an individual or group requests upfront fees, demands sensitive personal data, or claims to have insider connections to guarantee a future rate, you must immediately disengage. Only trust regulated banks or currency dealers with verifiable credentials and a clear compliance history. In 2025, credible information is your best form of protection. The bedrock of financial readiness is a simple maxim. Luck is what happens when preparation meets timing. Every successful investor, collector, or disciplined currency holder understands the importance of maintaining a balance between optimism and realism. This golden rule is echoed across all wealth-building communities. Plan like it could happen tomorrow, but protect yourself like it might take years. For holders of IQD or VND, this means organizing your holdings with the same meticulous care you would use if you were preparing for a major, legitimate transaction happening at any moment. In practical terms, this preparation involves several deliberate actions. Keep your currency organized in folders, clearly labeled by denomination and serial number, stored in a dry, secure environment. Maintain both a physical and a digital backup record of all your notes and their details. Furthermore, it is prudent to build a contact list of at least 3 local banks or credit unions that are known to have active foreign currency desks, even if their current policy excludes IQD or VND. Remember, professional relationships matter. A courteous and professional inquiry today can position you favorably for assistance down the road should policies change. Complementing your contact list. Actively join online communities that focus exclusively on verified updates from the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, or the State Bank of Vietnam, SBV, meticulously steering clear of speculative, rumor-driven discussions. The ability to distinguish between credible data sources and unverified social media chatter is the hallmark of a disciplined investor. Emotional investors react impulsively. Disciplined investors prepare methodically. The ultimate success in this long game is not just in a potential financial shift, but in the composure, knowledge, and discipline you cultivate in the interim. The foreign exchange, FX landscape across U.S. institutions is experiencing a quiet, steady evolution. Many banks have been integrating advanced compliance systems, which are technically capable of processing a wider array of global currencies than in years past. Yet, exotic currencies, including the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong, still remain in a cautious category due to the aforementioned regulatory requirements. Federal guidelines demand rigorous verification of both convertibility and liquidity before a currency can be handled at scale and across branches. For those holding these notes, knowing where to start monitoring is critical to your strategy. While bank policies are subject to change, the reality of the underlying national economies provides the foundation for any potential shift. Let's look at the current fundamentals. In Iraq as of 2025, inflation is generally controlled, with oil exports consistently surpassing 3.5 million barrels per day, which significantly bolsters national revenue. Crucially, foreign reserves continue a steady climb. The Central Bank of Iraq has been aggressively pushing for modernization, strengthening its compliance with international systems like SWIFT and initiating new digital payment systems. These reforms signal a focused effort to align Iraq more closely with global financial norms. Similarly, Vietnam's economy in 2025 is showing immense strength, with manufacturing growth exceeding 7% and record inflows of foreign direct investment, FDI, from major global partners like Japan, South Korea, and the European Union. A rapidly expanding middle class is driving domestic demand, while the State Bank of Vietnam maintains a carefully managed and stable currency band. The essential takeaway here is that major revaluations are not sudden events. They are the logical unfolding of structural economic strengthening over time. Recognizing this fact helps investors maintain a rational, grounded perspective, a characteristic of every successful, long-term financial strategy. Behind every policy, debate and exchange rate chart are real. People, individuals who have refused to allow hype and rumor to dictate their approach. These are everyday investors and collectors who exemplify the meaning of disciplined waiting. Take, for example, a long-term holder like Michael from Texas, who has maintained a physical notebook since 2014, diligently recording monthly updates from the Central Bank of Iraq and relevant IMF statements. His mantra is simple. It's not about getting rich overnight. It's about being ready when it happens. This level of commitment to documentation and verification is precisely what separates the prepared from the merely hopeful. Another example is Lisa from Ohio, who initially acquired Vietnamese Dong while traveling, but chose to keep the notes as a long-term holding. Over time, she educated herself, joining professional online investment forums and actively verifying sources before accepting any update as fact. She has even cultivated a professional rapport with her local credit union manager, who committed to monitoring shifts in the institution's FX policy. These stories consistently share one moral: preparation decisively beats panic. Each successful individual focuses on documentable actions, professional dialogue, and verifiable research, effectively opting out of the rumor mill. To enhance public awareness, it's beneficial to adopt the perspective of seasoned financial professionals. A global market strategist might point out that currency shifts are rarely lightning bolts. They are the result of structural changes, sustained fiscal discipline, and policy coordination that takes years to materialize. They would stress that investors who document and monitor verified channels are always best positioned to act. A monetary policy analyst would emphasize viewing exotic currencies with a balanced lens, cautious but curious, and remind us that education transforms speculation into a viable, long-term strategy. The disciplined investor is never the loudest, but always the most prepared. An FX compliance consultant would further clarify that in 2025, while U.S. banks are open to reassessing restricted currencies, any potential inclusion must successfully pass stringent AML verification, liquidity checks, and rigorous compliance review. Nothing in this regulated environment happens in isolation. It all hinges on the convergence of timing, international governance, and individual readiness. Collectively, these expert perspectives reinforce a core truth. True opportunity begins not in unsubstantiated hype, but in research, strategic patience, and informed education. The evolving financial landscape points toward a significant digital transformation. By 2025, global banking is increasingly defined not by physical teller windows, but by compliance-driven digital systems and international integration. Both Iraq and Vietnam are vigorously pursuing the modernization of their payment infrastructures. This fundamental transformation is poised to reshape how their currencies, and eventually the world, will handle transactions involving the IQD and VND. This transition is not a distant goal. It is actively in motion. In Iraq, the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, has launched pilot programs for a digital dinar, an advanced payment system designed to facilitate secure interbank settlements and reduce the nation's heavy reliance on physical cash. Select commercial banks in Baghdad are actively testing encrypted transfers under the regulatory supervision of the CBI. The purpose is revolutionary: to create a secure, traceable, and efficient mechanism for both domestic and potential cross-border exchanges. This move is a direct step toward achieving the transparency and traceability required for global acceptance. Concurrently, Vietnam is steadily expanding its nationwide push toward cashless transactions, promoting the widespread adoption of QR payments, e-wallets, and sophisticated digital merchant systems across all major districts and cities. This technological modernization is a clear effort to align Vietnam's economy with the global digital finance ecosystem and to greatly improve transaction transparency. If both the CBI and SBV succeed with these digital initiatives, future exchanges involving IQD and VND could potentially migrate from cumbersome physical banknotes to authenticated digital channels, a shift that would make them significantly more appealing to U.S. banks once official convertibility and compliance standards are verified. The crucial takeaway from this digital shift is simple. Stay alert to digital currency integration news. The future bridge between your physical notes and a seamless U.S. dollar conversion may very well be built upon these new digital rails. For individuals holding physical currency, the importance of a clear, actionable checklist cannot be overstated. Preparation is not complicated. It must simply be consistent. Every successful currency holder begins with simple, organized steps that accrue into massive readiness over time. Your 2025 readiness checklist should be a constant companion. Firstly, meticulously document your holdings. Create both a written and a digital record of all IQD and VND, noting denominations, serial numbers, and purchase history. This establishes immediate transparency. Secondly, protect your notes. Store your currency in a dry, dark, temperature-controlled environment, ideally a fireproof safe or a secured bank box. Clean, crisp notes are always easier to authenticate than damaged ones. Thirdly, verify authenticity by using magnification and UV light to inspect official security features like holograms, embedded threads, and microprint patterns. Fourthly, commit to being informed through direct contact. Call at least 3 major banks in your region quarterly to check for any updates to their foreign exchange acceptance list, and meticulously record the date, contact name, and a summary of the conversation. Fifth, bookmark reliable sources. Exclusively follow official, primary source websites such as NotText, CBI Gov IQD, HeadText SBV Gov VND, and IMF.org for legitimate policy updates, rejecting any speculation. Finally, avoid all unlicensed brokers and unverified intermediaries who promise guaranteed rates. Small, consistent actions taken today are the engine that drives massive readiness tomorrow. Ultimately, success in this long game is as much about mindset as it is about documentation. Many view exotic currency holding as pure speculation, but those who thrive in this space treat it as an ongoing learning journey and a test of personal discipline. Every central bank report, policy update, and economic news release should be treated as a learning opportunity. Understanding how nations manage inflation, regulate trade, and stabilize exchange rates provides knowledge that transcends the IQD or VND itself, opening a window into global economic reality. The true return on your discipline is not always measured in potential profit margins. It is found in the knowledge, patience, and growth you acquire along the way. By following credible updates and practicing critical thinking, you are developing skills, consistency, verification, calm analysis that will strengthen your financial awareness across every decision you make in the future. Whether a major currency shift materializes or not, the habits you build will serve you for life. Your strength is not in predicting the future. It is in methodically preparing for it. The path to long-term success rarely involves shortcuts. It is a reward reserved for the planners, the consistent documenters, and the patient learners. The revaluation conversation, like all complex financial matters, is a long game. To help navigate the coming year with maximum clarity, a readiness roadmap built around actionable milestones is essential. For the first half of 2025, your focus should be on auditing your currency and verifying storage, taking inventory, checking note quality, and ensuring protection in a secured, dry environment. For the third quarter of 2025, the milestone is to recheck bank FX policies and document all responses. This involves revisiting your preferred banks to inquire about any policy shifts in their foreign currency acceptance lists, keeping detailed records of every name, date, and outcome. Finally, the fourth quarter should be dedicated to reviewing IMF and CBI announcements and updating professional contacts. This is the research phase, tracking official financial developments, noting IMF reports on regional economic performance, and ensuring your contact list of banks and licensed FX brokers is current. Every financial transformation in history, from post-war economic rebuilding to the emergence of new global markets, began with a disciplined few who believed in the progress before the wider world took notice. If you hold IQD or VND today, your choice is one of patience, discipline, and a studied faith in verifiable economic progress. You are acknowledging that significant financial growth takes time, but that an active state of readiness ensures you are positioned when the conditions finally align for a shift. The truth is, transformation is a product of years of policy reforms, technological advancements, and economic restructuring. While others may succumb to waiting fatigue, those who commit to lifelong learning and adaptive preparation are the ones who ultimately cross the finish line. Your meticulous preparation, the documents you keep, the notes you organize, and the updates you verify is the tool that separates the informed from the casual speculator. When that long-awaited window opens, you won't be scrambling. You will be calm, composed, and confident. You will recognize the signs, not by luck, but because you dedicated the time to understand them.